Welcome to VPG's Virtual Water Cooler Chat Podcast, a platform that features professionals across a variety of industries and promotes growth mindset principles with a central pillar of championing the achievements of women. Our conversations explore a wide spectrum of backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives, creating a vibrant mosaic that enriches our collective understanding and strengthens our commitment to growth and empowerment. Today, we're speaking with Socheth McCutcheon, a privacy and technology lawyer based in New Jersey. Socheth is also the founder and president of the National Association of Cambodian American Lawyers. Let's get started.
Good morning, Socheth. How are you doing?
I'm good, Ashley. Thank you for having me here. It's so nice to see you in person or e-person.
E-person. One of these days we will see each other in real life.
Absolutely. No excuses for not seeing each other in person. You don't live that far from me.
Yeah, we're all in East Coast, Even in the West Coast, I'll go visit. So thank you so much for accepting my invitation and saying yes.
Thank you for finding me.
Hey, I'm very good.
That's the hardest part, is finding me. I had no idea that you could just find people, and you did. You're really good at that, by the way. I've come to learn that about you. So thank you for finding me.
You're welcome, and happy Women's History Month.
That's right. Happy Women's History Month. This is such a great way to celebrate, to be with you and all the amazing other people that you've interviewed before me.
Yes. So Virtual Water Cooler Chat, this is a season 3. It started out with women empowerment, and then it kind of basically just empower everyone because everyone needs empowerment. And I also love meeting new people, connecting with people that is across industry. So I am personally in the IP space, but actually for about 30 years. The last 5 years are actually my virtual patent gateway journey. A lot more freedom to pursue, freedom to operate. So I would love to kind of hear more about your story, and if you could share 2 fun facts about you.
Okay, so I'll back up all the way to the origin, the origin story of me.
Oh, gee.
My origin story. So my parents lived in Cambodia. They're Chinese by ethnicity, but they lived in Cambodia. So there are a lot of, Chinese people who immigrated to Cambodia. And my parents lived there until the fall of the Khmer Rouge. So they lived through the Pol Pot regime, starting in 1975. I was born at the fall of the Khmer Rouge when my parents were leaving Cambodia to go to Thailand. So on the way to Thailand, my mom gave birth to me on a side of a dirt road in a shack, and, no hospital or anything like that. And so I came to the US when I was about 3 years old, and my parents, the very typical refugee immigrant story where they worked several jobs, very focused on surviving, and they were very focused on me and my younger sister studying and, working hard. And we went to great colleges, and then ultimately I went to law school. And this will come up later, but obviously being who I am and where I came from, I was the first one to go to college. I was the first one to go to law school. So that's just a little bit about who I am, my origin story, let's call it. Fun fact is, I don't know how to swim. This was a thing that I was trying to learn during the pandemic. I was like, pandemic project, what can I do? And everybody's baking banana bread. I was doing that too, but I was also trying to learn how to swim. And so I started doing that, trying to overcome my fear of water, my fear of getting water in my ears, all these things. So I tried to do that, making steps, but kind of abandoned it. And I'm hoping that me saying this out loud to you and everyone listening, that it hold me accountable, that maybe I'll start over. And then the other fun fact is that I speak multiple languages, having, grown up the way that I grew up. So my dad is a polyglot. He lived in Cambodia, but because we're Chinese ethnicity wise, he was able to speak multiple kinds of dialects of Chinese, right? So Mandarin, Cantonese, Hokkien, all of those things. And because Cambodia is one of those countries that's been colonized by a lot of different countries, he also spoke Vietnamese. He also spoke a little French. And I, as a result of being exposed to so many different languages, and grew up speaking Cambodian. I speak a little bit of Thai. And then obviously English was my third language that I learned. In high school, we all took the Spanish classes, and I kind of picked up a little bit of that, but certainly not fluent. When I was in college, I learned Mandarin. And I think because I had the neural pathways that were flexible enough to learn languages because of my history, my family, I was able to pick up Mandarin and was able to speak that and write that fluently. But of course, 25 years later, I've forgotten it. So those are my two fun facts. And then the funny thing is that there are some times when I'm just like, wait, is that how you say it in English? I'll just throw things out there. I'm like, I think that's the English idiom. I'm not really sure. Anyways, two fun facts there and a little bit about myself.
Wow. Okay. We share some commonalities. I'm originally from Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Came here when I was like probably in my very early teens, like 13 years old, maybe. And Cantonese is my native tongue. I learned Mandarin in college in the United States. I'm a non-STEM woman that survived in STEM career for a long time. Basically, I'm the first one that went to college in both maternal and paternal family. I do know, like, for example, because my grandparents actually applied for us to come to the States.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard so many stories where grandpa used to work at like Chinese restaurant and he would work 3 or 4 jobs. And then during like the time off, usually restaurants, they would have like maybe a non-rush hour, non-peak hour. So they would have like maybe 2 to 4, something like that. That would basically have them to dice the chicken, do whatever it is. And sometimes my grandpa would actually go from like jobs to jobs. There were times, I think the story he usually told us before was that because he had to apply for 10 people to come to the States and he had to sponsor for 10 people. So my parents, well, my family and also my cousin's family. So in 1985, all of us came. He obviously, if someone actually sponsored all these people, because you need to have the money, you need to have all this stuff. He just had to work so hard and he didn't really have a lot. So sometimes during those non-peak hour, and if he had to rest, he just basically layer like the chairs and slept on those chairs to just get a couple hours of rest.
Yeah.
I don't know how people actually could have that type of grit.
Well, that's what we came from, though.
That's our root.
We came from parents who have that grit.
Yeah. So, okay, how much does your parents' experience of immigrating from Cambodia affect your current choices, both personally and professionally?
That's an interesting question. I'm not sure how much their background has affected my choices, but it certainly has affected my mindset, and in some ways positively and other ways negatively. And so I'll give a negative example, which is, and maybe it ultimately comes out to be a positive example, but there was a point in my career where I was like 10 years in one particular job and I've been heads down doing work and doing it really well, and everyone was praising me. But then I was like, wait, what? But I haven't been advocating for myself or haven't been asking for like what's next. And I started to spiral and feel like a sort of guilt, and it made me very upset and emotional. And I felt like, I don't know what we would want to call it, but I'm just going to say maybe it was an immigrant guilt or something where, my parents, and I was talking to myself, like, your parents did so much to get you here. And why are you not doing more to get yourself to the next step? Like you've just sort of been heads down doing work, but you're not like advocating for yourself. You're not, raising your hand and doing more for yourself. And so I was beating myself up a lot. And as I was talking to mentors and at my board of advisors, they're like, what are you talking about? Like one of my mentors who's not very PC had said to me, and he makes the perfect point in his very straightforward way, which is, okay, so you didn't get on a boat to come to the United States. And I was like, my parents didn't get on a boat to come to the United States, but I understand what you're saying. He's like, but you still have accomplished so much. And I was like, you know what? Ultimately, as non-PC as he put it, he's right. Like I did do a lot and I'm discounting myself for not doing more. For all the stuff that I've done, I should have recognized all of that. Of course, one can always do more. But I think that like the fact that my parents were immigrants, the fact that they like worked so hard, so many jobs, and they were also in the restaurant industry to get me to where I am, it really impacted my mindset. It made me feel kind of like ashamed that I wasn't doing more to get to that next level. And I think, though, I frame that as a negative example, but in a way, it started negative, but it really did end up in a positive place because it did give me perspective and it did give me the sense of like, look, we have survived a lot. You know, what you said about your dad stacking up the chairs and making a bed to sleep in, because like you got to stay when you're in a restaurant business, you are there 24 hours, 7 days a week. There's no time off, and you got to sleep when you can, rest when you can. And so it gave me a sense of I can do hard things. I have a very rich history to draw on, and a history of survival, a history of of resilience, of grit, something you keep coming back to. And so I think their experience, their background maybe didn't impact my choices, but it certainly impacts my mindset, which ultimately does impact my choices. And then I also come to the table with a very unique take on issues, right? Because we are who we are because of our experiences. And those experiences really shape what we bring to the conversation and how we see issues or how we problem solve. And without those varied experiences and the different things that we've lived through, we would all be seeing the same things the same way. And that would not be interesting or helpful to society in any way.
Wow. First thing, let me correct. That is my grandpa, not
your
my
grandpa.
Yes.
Yes. So it's genetic. It's in our DNA.
Yeah, my dad. Well, my dad is probably sleep at weird places too because he also a Chinese restaurant.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But there's, I think that's really interesting of how you put this in terms of the negative. I think a lot of it is Southeast Asian, and I think part is like Asian communities, a lot of times based on our upbringing, especially traditionally too, parents do not, it's because they have so much grit and they want to see us succeed. And
Yes.
a lot of time we don't get the praise, even though we are getting like, if you get a B plus, why didn't you get an A, right?
Right.
And
Right.
you know how much of that did you experience? So I think over time, that does not help building
With our guilt.
self-confidence.
Yeah, it's true. Like
It's
we
like,
never feel like we're doing enough.
it's like, I have done enough. This is all I can do. Like these days, people are like, you are enough. I'm like, no, we're not.
Yeah. You're right. That does contribute to the feeling of not doing enough and that guilt and shame that I was just
Yeah,
talking
I have so many like Asian American friends. Those are like our major complaints during college. It's like, why is our American counterparts like they're getting a B and then they're having a celebration party?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we are getting like an A minus, but why did you get an A? Why is it a minus? You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. My parents did not go to college, so they were not especially hard on me. They're just happy that I went to college, and I can survive and provide for myself. So that's that. I think the mindset is huge. There are a couple of books that as you were talking about, I don't know if you know like the author. I'm just gonna go ahead and recommend. I suspect that you may have read some of them too. One of it is Angela Duckworth on Grit.
Yeah.
Love Angela Duckworth. The other one is Arthur Brooks, From Strength to Strength. Basically, what he talked about is success addiction. Yeah, the book is called From Strength to Strength. So, like you said, we would do so much, and a lot of it is also coming from a collective society. I am very good at people pleasing. That's like so one of my traits before.
Mine too.
And I'm recovering from it and learning to basically switch that mindset to know that one, I'm enough, and also other people's comments are just their comments. And if they don't accept me for who I am,
their problem.
Well, then that's not my circle.
Not your problem. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so you have to really choose wisely to have the people that back you. I was listening to Brene Brown. Why are we spending so much time to go and try to convince the people that don't believe in you to believe in you?
Right.
Versus what about the people that believe in you? Just go with that circle. I think that has a lot of validity to it. And I think that is really difficult for even Asian Americans to come out of that particular mindset. It doesn't matter how long we have been, because it's so ingrained in the culture, because we have to deal with it. Still interacting with my mom, who love her, but she is still having such traditional mindset. And this is Women's History Month. And when I'm trying to tell her, it's like, no, you can change. She was like, no, I'm 79. I'm not changing. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's a hard battle. I understand.
We titled this podcast episode to be Longing for Belonging. I love that. And I wonder what made you decided to choose that title.
Yeah, so I grew up 7 miles northeast of Boston in a city that was basically full of immigrants,
Mm.
just various kinds of immigrants, right? And the Cambodian population was probably the newest kind in that city when I was there. And then before us, long before us, maybe just 1 or 2 generations ago, we got the Irish and the Italians. And growing up there, I'd never really felt like I'd fit in with the Cambodian kids because we're more Chinese. And I don't know what it was. Maybe it's just cultural, maybe it's skin color, maybe it's whatever it was. Never felt like I fit into that group, even though I had friends both in the immigrant population and the non-immigrant population. And I always felt like people saw us differently. And even I had a Cambodian friend say to me, and he was my close friends, like we went to college together. He had said, you don't know what it's like to be Cambodian American, or you don't know what it's like to be us because you live in a white house on top of a hill. And we did, we live in a white house, but he was like, you live in like a White Castle. But it certainly, by comparative standards back then, like it is a nice house in that world, but it's not a nice house in like the world that I live in now. And never really felt like I belonged there and didn't feel like I belonged with the other kids. And then one really good example, I'll just tell you this story real quickly to illustrate that sense of not belonging. So in elementary school, we had a field trip, and I don't remember exactly where we were going, but it must have been a theme park of some sorts where the teacher said, and bring a towel because you may get wet on this particular ride. Bring a small towel. Those were the instructions. And I came with a towel, a small towel. And this kid, I remember exactly who he is, what he said to me. And he was like, what did you bring? That is not a towel. That's a dish towel. Now, this is a silly, super ridiculous story to illustrate that growing up in an immigrant family, in the family that I was in, there was never a distinction between the various sizes of towels or understanding that certain towels serve certain purposes, right? And I think it took a long time to really know that. This is just a cultural norm that never entered my house, right? Now, as an adult, I know that there are hand towels, washcloths, beach towels, dish towels, et cetera, et cetera. And it wasn't until college that I understood fitted sheets and flat sheets and comforter and duvet and what goes where. And, those are cultural norms that just never entered my house because we didn't have time to worry about using the right towels or the right, fitted sheets on top of with the flat sheet on top and the thing folded on top of the duvet because we were just busy surviving. And to, think about that story and to think about how that illustrates what happens to a young girl and her sense of belonging when she gets called out for not understanding those simple cultural norms. I know it's like it's a simple story, but I just want to use that to illustrate there are so many instances like that caused me to feel like I just don't belong. And then in college, I think it was a little bit less, but it was still somewhat that way because you think about the various cliques. Law school, maybe not so much because we were more adults, but then think about bar associations, they're also affinity based. And so when I go to affinity based bar associations, we've got groups of people hanging out and I'm like, oh, I am Chinese ethnicity wise, but I am also culturally Cambodian. So, it just never really felt like I fit in anywhere. And I'll say though that even as an adult, I still feel these insecurities. I still feel like I don't belong. Am I cool enough to be a part of this group? Am I wearing the right clothes? My hair look the right way? And it's still something that's in my mind, and I'm not just brushing it off. I'm paying attention to it because it's something that I've just grown up with. I will say that these insecurities and these feelings that I've had over the years of not belonging is something that's developed into a superpower that enables me to create meaningful connections and to kind of adapt and fit into various groups so that I'm kind of spanning all of the groups and not just siloing myself into certain cliques. And it's a gift that I actually enjoy now as an adult because For my birthday, for example, I had a big birthday come up and I had like 3 or 4 different birthday dinners with different groups of friends from different parts of my life, which like they probably would never come together, but I'm a part of each one of those groups. And then also because I grew up with that sense of like, I don't belong here or I don't feel like I fit in, when I'm at events or when I'm at conferences, when I'm at some sort of like networking thing and I see the person like by themselves over there, I will go up to that person and be like, hi, I'm so and so, and just sort of, bring them into the conversation, or even as simple as when we're standing in a circle and we're talking and there's 5 people talking, I really am very conscious of the person who's speaking to make sure I'm seeing like they're not looking at my eyes. They're like looking at the other person, like the man that they're talking to, but they're not looking at me. So when I speak with a group of people, I try to make eye contact with everybody so they feel included. And so I'm kind of like compensating for the fact that I've always felt like I didn't belong by trying to make sure other people belong. And it's gotten a lot better because I have been able to create the cultures where I go, including at work. So this longing to belong is a big theme in my life, even today. And I'm addressing that insecurity or that feeling of not being able to belong by creating spaces. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about the organization that I founded for Cambodian American attorneys. That's another perfect example of creating space for people who may feel like just don't belong. So long-winded way of explaining to you why I think that's just a theme in my life.
Thank you for being so transparent about your feelings there. I think that is so prevalent, unfortunately, especially Asian American women. I've talked to many, and I think that some just sort of like brush it away, not addressing it by assimilating.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the choice. It's all good. I've seen a lot more people that sort of like come forward to sort of acknowledge the pain that they have inside by assimilating and addressing their cultural roots previously, so that they could actually fit in. I certainly have done that in the past.
I think we all have.
Yes. I mean, because you have to have some kind of acceptance. And if you look like this, people know that you are not majority.
You can't hide it.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to one of a law firm founder. He is from UK, and so he's actually an immigrant. So and we had a really just very transparent conversation. And he goes like, I make sure that I tell people that I'm immigrant because I do not want people to have a free pass to say any bad things about immigrant. I said, well, that's very, very kind of you. And I really applaud that. And I said that, well, at least you have that particular choice. Because, it's like your accent give you away. Everything give us away.
Right. Yeah.
So I just thought that was really interesting. And I love the fact that you were talking about longing for belonging, because I got into the legal industry by accident. I was going to be doing research and hoping to work for like policy, think tank, that type of thing. But then life has a different way of kind of taking you on a different path. And this is the path the journey that I have done for like a long time now. And then my dad passed in 2017 in a matter of 4.5 hours. So that was quite traumatic, and I wasn't sure exactly how best to handle it. So I used the classic avoidance in terms of emotion. So I just double down and work so much more. And I was already a workaholic. So, double down, it just basically lead you to that path of burnout. And 2019, I burned out. And part of it is like, I didn't know exactly what other options I have. Just like what you said, it's like so good at everything, but inside, I wasn't thinking that I'm so good at everything. And it was just like, there's this impossible standard of what my friend called as a self-worth management. Basically, when other people like reassure you that you're good, but sometimes people have sort of agenda.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So how do you spot when people are genuinely being kind to you versus they want something from you? I wasn't very good at deciphering those differences early on in my life. So I've been always like outstanding doing work because, I don't complain. I just heads down, just keep working. I'm good at negotiating in terms of like money wise and everything, but I think I'm bad at negotiating my self-worth.
Mm.
And so that has not been an easy journey. And it was not until after I exited law firms. I worked for multiple law firms. So, usually it's very hierarchical. I have learned so much. If I didn't have all my skills, have so much skill set. And sometimes when you are being thrown in problems and challenges, one of my attorney always said to me early on was that the legal space is a sink or swim game. It's very traditional. He's a man. He told me that. Very first job that I had as a project assistant. That was the very first conversation he said to me. And I think he meant it to be like just realistic, and
cold hard truth.
Oh yeah, unfortunately. But he was actually very kind. We're still friends, and he's one of my mentor. But he did share with me that you kind of have to show your value so that, kind of like help raise the bottom line and add value to the firm or the company or your cases. So sometimes it becomes like if I don't do that, does it mean that I don't have any value as a person? I don't know. I never really questioned those type of things because you have to survive. You need your job, you do your thing,
Yeah.
So it's not really until after I left and started Virtual Patent Gateway that I really started this particular journey. Sometimes people said that, be the leaders that you wish you had. Simon Sinek. And during COVID, I've listened and read all of these books. I've taken the webinars and met some friends and everything. I really like what he has to say. He's just like very quirky, and he's not afraid to like tell people, nah, I don't think so. I wish I had that confidence. It's like, nah, I don't think so. I'm developing those. And this is one of the things that, the belonging part of it. Some people, like, for example, they would say that, oh, I don't know why you would apply to do this because you are not an attorney. I said, does the legal profession only make up of attorneys? Where in the bylaw does it say that it's only attorneys and they don't have anything to say?
Yeah.
Right?
Good response to that.
There's no good response. But it's like, how many times do you have to go and prove yourself? And that whole thing about you are enough, if you have to be constantly being tested, at least you are an attorney in the legal space, right? But for me, sometimes it's like, I don't see why you are trying to do that. At some point, you just have to realize that sometimes you just have to leave certain relationships.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
To basically safeguard yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's also not something that I've ever thought that it was acceptable, which is really sad. So it's not about me, it's about you. So I'm going to switch that. Those are what I wanted to say. Talk about the National Association of Cambodian American Lawyers. How do you pronounce the acronym?
We're still working on it. We're new. I think it's NACAL.
NACAL, okay.
Yeah, and I've heard other people say NACAL. But let me just give a little backstory. So during the pandemic, this woman that lived in Connecticut, I used to live in Connecticut and I went to Yukon Law, and she also went to Yukon Law, and she's Cambodian American as well. So I knew that she and I were two Cambodian American attorneys, and she said to me, is there an association of Cambodian American attorneys? And I said, not as far as I know, because if there was one, we would probably know about it. And so I started just old-fashioned Google, old-fashioned going on LinkedIn, searching like Khmer lawyer, and slowly found various people. And then through word of mouth, we found more people. And so it went from me knowing one other person to me knowing now about 40, 50 other attorneys who are in the United States who are Cambodian American. And we got together about 2 years ago just as a very informal network where we just jumped on a call and talked to each other. And I'll tell you, with the theme of belonging, this was probably the first time where I was like, oh, I am with my people. I am with people who are attorneys, people who are Cambodian Americans, people who understand what it's like to be first generation everything, right? First generation college, first generation law school, first generation lawyer, all of that. And so we are now officially formed as the National Association of Cambodian American Lawyers, NACAL or NCAL. And it's been a very wonderful journey. We're still at the beginning, but we are making a lot of progress because now we have a board. We are meeting with other sister associations as well. So the Thai Bar Association has been around for a long time and they've adopted us as their little sibling. And so, yes, and so we've gotten together with them. And then folks in the Taiwanese American Bar Association have reached out and welcomed me and have given me guidance on how their association came about and the approaches that they took to forming and developing and engaging members. And so it's been wonderful. And NAPABA, which is the National Association of Asian American Attorneys, that organization has been instrumental in supporting us. We have been welcomed with open arms by the leadership, and we have been connected with other bar associations that are similarly situated, like the Burmese Bar, who are also just beginning to form. And so I'm just loving this journey. I love seeing the amazing talent that we have. If you think about the Cambodian American diaspora, we're very new to the United States, relatively speaking. We all kind of came mid 70s, mid 80s. Some are still coming now. And so there's not a long legacy of Cambodian American attorneys, and we're it. And to have a national association for all of us, it's just so meaningful and also super historic.
How many members do you currently have?
Well, we are informally about 40, 50 people, but right now, because the association is incorporated, we have a board. We have a general membership meeting, like a first official one. We've been meeting very unofficially for 2 years, just me getting everybody together and just like chit-chatting, catching up, finding out like who we are and getting to know each other. But we're officially meeting. Our first general meeting is actually today. And the membership, yes. And so it's a big day. I know. I'm talking to you. And then we have the first general meeting. It's a great day. And we are going to be sending out like the membership application to formally onboard. And so there'll be folks who will be associated with us and folks who will be official members. So this is becoming a real thing. This is a pandemic project or a dream come true. It's super exciting.
Please say hi to everyone and congratulate all of you for this huge accomplishment. Such a milestone. Oh my God.
It is a milestone. Yeah. And my hope is that this is just the beginning. You're meeting us early on in our formation, early on in our existence. And I'm hoping that, the old people like me, we're just setting this structure up so that, there are several folks who are part of our group that are in law school right now. And they're going to continue to carry the torch when we're no longer working. And they're going to continue to make sure that other Cambodian American kids understand that the legal profession is a real profession that is reachable, that they can do, and that they don't have to go it alone the way that I and others went it alone, right? You want to apply to college, you want to think about legal studies, we can help you. We can mentor you. We can tell you what to look for, how to network, how to have conversation, what to say in your interviews, or how to write your resumes. And so there's a lot of opportunities to give back. And we're really excited about that.
I love how this turning into a giving back moment. One thing that, because of the experiences, I think every experience, good, bad, ugly, it shapes you.
Yeah.
And it make you who you are today. And one of the things that I have been really passionate about is to work with the younger generation.
Absolutely.
So my company actually, I do like PTAB's patent trial appeal board, like based post-grant proceedings and ex parte. I used to do district court. I do not like working on ITC cases because they're just too like mind-boggling for me. I can do it, but I don't enjoy it. So I always gave kudos to those who can. Just not me, And in the past, I don't know that I had really choices, but now I do. So I thought that one of the things that giving back, it started like as an experiment. So for the podcasting, I was like, oh, maybe I'll just have some of my young ones to actually interview the guests. So we'll do a
And
prep.
I've listened to some where you've had guest interviewers. I loved that. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, because the thing is like, okay, first of all, it's having them to know that they cannot just shoot things. You have to be authentic, but at the same time, you have to be respectful. You have to
Mm,
prep.
and prep. Yep.
It's so important. So I
Mm,
usually prep with them. I will basically do a mock interview with them, and then they will have the questions. After that, I was like, okay, let's get started, and then we'll talk. And after that, a couple was like, "Do you know the people know all the answer?" I was like, "Nope, I'm just making things up.
it's good practice.
It is a practice."
Yes, yes.
So it's really, really amazing. And then I was saying this to a friend of mine because sometimes, as we age, we get more cynical because we've been burned.
Mm,
We don't necessarily look at things with the same curiosity and the positivity that we all need, especially these days.
yeah.
So those kids are the reasons why I am still like smiling a lot because they
Yeah.
were asking me questions. I was like, I don't know.
It's refreshing. Yes.
Yeah, it's so refreshing. And if you give them the opportunity, I'll be completely honest with them and say, hey, listen, we're gonna have to have a heart-to-heart talk today. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. This is what it is. If you don't shape up, we're gonna have to ship you out. I think those are very important ones because I have to be candid. I'm running a business.
Yes.
I'm not your mom and dad. So there's a place for my parents, but
No, it's
I will
great.
have
I
liability.
love that you're giving them a real dose of real life and real life and real professional life. Having hard conversations and getting hard feedback is part of that.
Yeah, so on Monday, we're actually releasing another episode, and this is one I'm writing another book. I have two books already, self-publishing, but I really enjoy creative writing. So the last two books were on animal, and I have like the different habitat and ecosystems and the whole VPG cast, like different animals. We just added a wombat that named Bagel, who loves snacks. We also have
Oh, I must read this. Sounds so
yeah,
fun.
she's not in the new one. She's completely new. And then we also have poisonous dart frog. Yes.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
So I have no idea. Like it's just very interesting. But I've been collaborating with a 20-year-old
Mm.
illustrator. I
Hmm.
had one before and she got another job, but was still working on other things. And I know her parents, so she cannot escape me. But yeah, the one with the 20-year-old, and she's in upstate New York, finishing as a visual art design major this year. So May is graduation, and she is so talented.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I had this particular discussion with her, and she sounds so articulate. Like the word that she used are like discernment. I said, is it in your regular vocabulary? Most people don't even know how to use that word.
Oh, young people are so impressive. Yeah.
So, yep, that's that. Let's talk a little bit about what you do at Verizon, non-confidential information. You're a privacy rights attorney.
I'm a privacy attorney. Yeah. So super high level, a privacy attorney or lawyer
What does
advises.
privacy attorney do?
Yeah, we advise on this is super high level, the use, the collection, the sharing, and the retention of data. And so
Okay.
basically the various laws that we need to comply with, or just the principles that we want to keep with. There's also a really big overlap between privacy and AI. And
Yes.
so a big portion of my job actually includes, in addition to the privacy hat that I wear, it also includes reviewing and advising my clients on new AI tools that they want to use and enable. And it's a super gratifying job because it's such a fast changing, fast moving area of law. And we're always seeing interesting things come out of what my clients want to do. And I highly recommend anyone who's interested to explore privacy and AI as an area of legal practice. It's just fun. And I have been doing it for over 15 years and I want to keep.
Um,
So,
in
yeah.
March, I'm actually going to be moderating a panel
Mm.
the PTAB Bar Association with an inductee from the National Inventor Hall of Fame,
Oh,
an executive director of the National Council on Patent Practicums, NCPP, and then also an assistant general counsel of NSF that is on this particular panel. And we are there's an aspect of it that we will talk about American Privacy Rights Act and
yes.
I was like, oh my God, I'm going to talk to Cheung.
That sounds like a great agenda. I'll definitely tune in.
Well, no, it's actually going to be an in-person panel.
Oh,
I would love to have you if you can come.
send me the details, please. I can,
Yes, it's going to be in DC at the Ritz-Carlton. So the couple of sections that I was actually looking at yesterday, and I need to do a little bit more study to finish my slide deck, is on the section 103, 104, and 109 of the American Privacy Rights Act, and see how that actually applies. So I thought I was like, this is total serendipity. When I was looking at the privacy, I was like, oh, this is what you do.
But I do.
That's what you do. So amazing. So I thought that that would be something that I wanted to kind of let you know. Everything that you've shared has been so genuine and really touching in terms of the story. You share a lot of things that we don't necessarily share with most people. And I have never even met you in real life. Can you imagine how much we could talk about? Probably like a couple of days.
Hours. Yes.
Definitely have to set time up there. So I wanted to quote you in something that I believe that you said. By sharing my history and my present, it lets younger people know what's possible. Can you, in closing, talk about why this resonates with you and how you apply it?
Sure. And I don't even remember when I said that, but I definitely agree with the person who said that, which is me, whenever that was. You know, growing up, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. And like you, I'm just not a STEM person. I'm more of like a liberal arts person. I like reading.
Liberal art.
Exactly. And it didn't fit with like, the doctor and the engineer and, those visions of an Asian American person. And it was, I think, by accident that I found the law. I didn't know anybody who was a lawyer. I had no one to talk to about it. I didn't really even have exposure. And so I think what I was trying to say, sharing my history and my present and letting young people know that you don't have to know lawyers to become a lawyer. You don't have to have parents who are doctors to become a doctor, right? Like you can make your own path. And I think exposure to various different ways of life or various different careers lets young people know that these things are all very possible for them. And so part of NACAL's mission, I think, is number one, by existing, by having an association of Cambodian American attorneys, it lets other people know, wait, actually, there is such a thing as Cambodian American attorneys, and there's a whole group of us, and we're here to support whatever the future generation needs. And to also just be there, to be like, we exist. That means this is something you can also do, and they're not alone. Because I think sometimes we feel like we're alone a lot, like growing up, like kids who have parents who are just working simply to survive. And I know this is not something that's gone away since I experienced it as a child. There are still youth who feel like they don't belong. There's still youth who feel like my parents are not around or my parents are not around at all to help advise what I want to do in life. And I just feel like just simply being out there, simply having an organization that exists, and hopefully we'll be able to do as much outreach as we want to do. It will help bridge the gaps that we see out there in terms of representation, right? We don't see a lot of Cambodian Americans in any industries in the United States. I mean, there's like one actress who's Cambodian French and she's on TV and we're like, oh my God, everybody watched this show. And I just want to change that. And one of the things that I find to be super important in closing is connection. And I'm hoping that this organization will be that bridge to help connect the next generation, to help connect even the folks who are today practicing as Cambodian American attorneys. And we're already doing that because the number of people who have said, oh my God, I didn't even know that there were this many other Cambodian American attorneys. I've only known one or two other people. And now there's like a whole group of us and we're just a family. And we hope to continue to grow the family and to help people get to where they want to go based on not just the legal practice, but like the skills that we have and the skills that we're able to help teach. So that was a lot of rambling, but I feel a lot of hope for the future. And I think that every single one of us can do a lot to bring the younger generation up with us.
Yeah, and if there's anything that you can ever think of that I can help,
I
you know
appreciate
how to
that.
find me.
Yeah. I mean, you already are helping. You're giving, me a spotlight here to talk about the National Association of Cambodian American Attorneys. We're brand new. And the more people know about us, the more we're able to make
But
impact.
do you have a website yet, or is it
Not
something?
yet.
website?
Again, all very new, but this is all the stuff. And I'm learning so much about creating an organization and founding an organization that doesn't exist and building it and how to get people engaged and how to get people involved. Putting together a website is one of those things. Opening a bank account, like all the things that we all take for granted, we're in the middle of doing right now.
So two other organizations that might be helpful for you to also connect this, and I'll also send you an email about this too. And this one is based in New York, and it's called Women Empower That Rock.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually going to one of their in-person celebration next Tuesday. That's why I'm going to be in New York.
Right, you'll be in New York.
And so they have an in-person event celebrating Women History Month. On 11. And then on March 12th, I'm actually going to go to an podcast studio in New York.
Oh, yes, you told me about that
Because I
one.
promised to interview the founder of Women Empower That Rock.
Oh, I would love to
Yeah,
hear
she's
about
in
that.
private equity. And so if you're interested, I'll send you like the information. And the other one is Adapt.legal. Have you heard anything about Adapt?
I don't know.
They're much more West Coast based, but I think that I'm a member.
Okay.
And
I'm
been
writing it
really,
down.
really impressed. And definitely I'll send you more information
Yes,
so you
please.
can
I would
actually
love
do
to know
that.
about
I'm
that.
actually a mentor and also mentee with that program. And the program is like, the ratio is insane. It's like 6-1, 6 mentor to 1 mentee.
Wow.
I know. So really
Lucky mentees for sure.
lucky mentee. So
Yeah.
I have a couple of people that I've been mentoring, and I did have, I think, an AWS attorney that mentored me at the beginning. So that was really quite awesome. Oh my God, look at the time.
I know, it went by so fast.
This is probably going to be in the afternoon for your first meeting, general meeting for
Yeah, 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. Well, I wish you a great first day of the general meeting.
Thank you.
And then please say hi to everyone for me.
I will. And I want to also, I should say, Ashley, that my door is always open. So if anybody wants to reach out, whether it's about practicing law or about just anything whatsoever, creating a new organization or privacy or AI, just open door. I have a very unique name, so I'm very easy to track down. So anyone listening who wants to be in touch, I'm happy to connect.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend and great first meeting today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Ashley. Thank you.